Fareway values family, and we treat our employees and our customers like their family.
If you're looking for a place to shop, our service is amazing.
We have put an emphasis on hiring good people.
One of the things that we talk about is just doing the right thing.
And that is so key to this day and age.
Fareway just isn't about selling groceries. It's about taking care of people.
That, to me, is the best thing we can do at Fareway.
Parker McCullum. Burn It Down Tour 2024, June 27th, Wells Fargo Arena. ACM Best New Artist, Parker McCullum Live, with special guest Corey Kent. On sale now at iowaeventcenter.com. Parker McCullum Live.
What does it take to grow beauty and colors more vibrant? More water, the right sun, nutrients. It takes all of that and more. Like family. At Knoyer Garden Center and Glass House Market, family is present in everything we do. Generation after generation. From our family to our employees who make you feel right at home. That's the difference you'll find when you shop Knoyer Garden Center.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
Welcome
and just
to...
like that, it's fixed. Williams, did you hear it?
What?
It's fixed.
We didn't have the long thing at the end where I had to wait to do the intro?
Not just that, but he said Iowa Everywhere. He didn't say Iowa Everywhere.
See, I'm okay with it. It's a nice little feels like the end of the meat box run.
Hey, now we know why Williams was gone on Monday. He drove to Canada. He kicked that guy's ass and told him to fix it.
Listen here, you son of a bitch.
It's like what's funny is too, and we all got the raw audio, and that guy was having a really hard time.
Yeah,
I felt bad for him. He was trying. This wasn't this guy. He was trying to say it right. He's Canadian.
He was having a tough time with Ankeny as well. He was saying Ankeny, I believe.
Yeah.
Instead of Ankeny.
Yeah, Kyle says he's watching on YouTube because I kind of missed it now. I miss it now.
Maybe we'll bring it back every now and then just for a nostalgia. Just throw it in there, see if everybody's paying attention. You know what? You know what that'll do? That'll make sure that people listen to the opening of the show on the podcast too, and they're not just fast forwarding through the promos,
Well,
slip that
funny.
stuff in.
I can give a shout out to our sponsor of the month, the Knoyer Garden Center today, because I'm literally doing the show from my garden outside. I have
I hear
flooring.
The birds.
Yeah, there's flooring contractors. It's just it's a disaster area, but it's good because I know enough people in construction where I was able to get pretty good service to get out here and get this flooding stuff addressed. So I'm outside today. If you hear the birds, there's a guy who's building a deck right across the way from me. So you may hear some hammers. There's a decent chance one of my kids will come out here in the middle of this show. But here we are on a Friday. How are you today?
Beautiful. It looks like a beautiful day.
Everybody's disappointed that I'm back. They like Josh Pate so much.
That was a very popular show.
It was great. I listened to it on my way home.
Most streamed episode we've ever done.
Wow. That says a lot about me.
Most streamed episode. So what kind of caveat is there for you?
YouTube, bandwags. Twitter, Facebook views.
Okay,
combined.
So that still means, Williams, that we've had more consumed shows podcast-wise, downloaded podcasts. But yeah, Pate was
a little
awesome.
bit of a cheat code though. Pate, how many followers does Pate have?
Yeah, we got the
Twitter,
Pate State bump.
Yeah,
Pate. Let me see.
He's a great dude. Just what a fascinating. I'd love to have him on CW Pod and and do what you did, but take the sports stuff away and ask him about, go deeper into the storm chasing stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like I didn't know any of that about him.
We had him on for 45, 50 minutes. We could have done several hours with him because there's so much stuff with the storm chasing, and I don't know if he's even talked about this that much, but you can kind of see it in his Pate State logo and branding. He is I don't know what it's called, train watcher. He will go out to train stations and just watch the trains, time the trains. He will jump trains, which is, I think, illegal, which is maybe why he doesn't talk about it as much as.
What do you mean?
The dude will jump on a train. He's fascinated by trains.
So people do this? This is like a thing?
Yeah, well, he does it. Look at some of his merch. They're the Pate State Freights, and it's a locomotive.
Reminds me of that children's book series, The Boxcar Children. Did you ever read that?
No, I didn't read it as a kid.
I read it.
No, I did.
I've read a bunch of them to my daughters, and these kids are. It's actually tragic. Like, their parents die.
Yeah, it's really a sad book series.
Yeah, and then they live in this train. I bet Pate's read it.
I bet he has.
If not, you should say, hey, Williams and Van Winks, they have a book series for you to read. You'll love it.
I invited Pate to come to a game at Jack Trice Stadium, and he said it could happen. So,
well, I mean,
let's get him to Ames.
Many people are talking about the college football playoff Iowa State Cyclones in 2000. Many people are saying this.
To be fair, he also said that Iowa could be in the playoff, and it sounded to me
I must have missed that part.
He thought there was a much better chance Iowa could go than Iowa State. The path for Iowa State is you have to win the Big 12.
Yeah, it's
Iowa,
harder, no doubt. Yeah,
it's 10-2. You might get one of those at-large bids
because their schedule isn't terrible this year. You know,
and
it's hard.
Well,
but
yeah,
it's
it's really not that much harder than what it has been. There's one added tough game, and that's it. They've been pretty lucky over the last few years to avoid the big boys for the most part. If there's a tough game, it's just one really tough game. It's not multiple. These Big Ten teams now, I think most of them are going to see Big Daddies at least 2 to 3 times a year. With Iowa and the protected rivalries, it's not going to be that as much. You're not going to see the Ohio States, the Michigans, the USCs, the Oregons, the Penn States. You're not going to see 3 of those on your schedule in 1 year. Maybe sometimes 2, sometimes only 1.
So, I love the CyHawk game. I am not a proponent of getting rid of the CyHawk game. We got the kick time and all that stuff yesterday. But, in this new model, but it's God, both of these teams would really benefit to not play that game this year, if you think about it. I'm not trying to be a downer, but, so you said that Sportsline actually has Iowa State as a favorite in this, right?
Yeah, Sportsline, which runs simulations on games. They run 10,000 simulations based on metrics and all that, and what they think the team is going to be like. And 52% of the time, Iowa State wins the game, even at Iowa. So they have it as basically a toss-up. And so Mackenzie Brooks from Sportsline was on yesterday talking about the matchup, and she says she would take Iowa State straight up. If you're going to give me 2.5 points, sure, I'll take that too. But she likes Iowa State straight up in this game. And history tells us, for whatever reason, Iowa is more vulnerable in this game at home than they are at Jack Trice Stadium.
Iowa State hasn't won in Jack Trice very much, really, either.
It's weird,
right? Yeah, it's just
the last time they played at Kinnick, they won.
Yeah. So to finish my point, and I just wonder how we're gonna think through this again. You and I are both CyHawk guys. We want the game. It's great. We enjoy it. All that stuff. It's what college football should be. But if Iowa could replace that game with Arkansas Tech and Iowa State.
Just because...
Well, I'm just saying because the Big Ten gets so many at-large bids. I don't think that game alone is going to – let me get from an Iowa State standpoint real quick. Iowa State could go 10-2 this year. They could lose at Iowa, and let's say they lose the Big 12 championship game, so you would be 11-2. I think is how that would work.
Yeah.
And I like.
Well,
I
no,
think
you'd be 10-3 or 11-2. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many losses in the Big 12? One.
Let's say you run the table in the Big 12 just for argument's sake.
All right.
And you lose the 11-2 game, and you lose the championship to Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that keeping them out in this new setup because of the strength of schedule and just the way the SEC and the Big Ten are. So again, you just have to think. I'm not talking about the last 10 years. So anything that's happened previously, I'm asking our audience to black out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Ten and the SEC are so much bigger and more powerful, and with all these top teams now, I think we're going to see a deal in the next 5 years or so where it's going to be really hard for a 2-loss Big 12 ACC type to sneak in there. I hope I'm wrong.
Josh
I don't
Pate
think
talked
I will
about
be.
this on Monday's show, and then Dennis Dodd wrote an article about it. I think it was yesterday or the day before. That yes, we are going to see in this new format a 9-3 SEC Big Ten team get in over a 10-2, potentially even 11-1 Big 12 or ACC school, because they're going to value those conferences more, and because those conferences, we assume anyway, those conferences will play tougher games. They will play, because they're in the better conference, they'll play more ranked teams. And that's always been the argument, I guess, for people that want to get rid of this game from an Iowa standpoint.
I just think it's stronger
what can
now.
You gain?
What's
stronger now?
That Iowa, you don't even, so it used to be, I would get Iowa fans well, why are we playing you guys? We could go schedule Notre Dame or some bullshit thing that would never happen.
And they wouldn't. It would be Pittsburgh or Arkansas Tech, as you said.
But what I'm saying now is with the strength or perceived strength, whatever it is, of the Big Ten, that game, you don't have to replace it with anything. You could play Akron, and we both want it. I got to reiterate.
I hate that line of thinking. I know what you're saying, and you're right. There's
I am right.
Saying that.
I hate the line of thinking too. I'm pointing out
because it could also help you. It could also help you if you win that game. That can be looked at as a quality win when we're factoring things up late in the season to go to potentially a playoff.
This year, definitely. I'm wondering about in 5 years when this thing just marinates a little more. I don't have any faith that you guys in the Big Ten and the SEC are going to, do much to help bolster the strength of these smaller conferences. But I don't know.
And is that going to mean that because they want to keep those conferences down, the Big 12,
that's
the
my
ACC,
point.
will they even play them in the non-conference?
That's my whole
Because if you all agree, okay, let's get all of our Big Ten and SEC teams to agree here. Let's not even help them out. Let's not even give them an opportunity to play us in the non-con. So that it's almost like a little bit, I guess, like what the Big 12 basketball did in the non-conference. Let's all agree to do this, so then it pumps us all up, keeps them down, and gives us a better opportunity to get more spots in the tournament. It's different, but it's kind of the same line of thinking.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't really know anything here. It's just more speculating how this is going to go. But based on the revenue split and just the way Sankey and this new Big Ten guy are talking, it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of kumbaya being sung in the campground here.
But how about this, Williams? How about, because of the fact that Iowa's in the Big Ten and has all this TV money and now is on CBS, Iowa State finally gets to play on CBS again.
You're very excited about this.
I think everybody is. Isn't that exciting? Listen to the music.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Iowa State fans were excited.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And it's good for CBS too to get the Cyclones on, right? That's a huge draw for you guys. You can talk about the Cyclones all week.
First time
great.
Iowa State has ever played a football game on CBS.
I thought
it
that
really?
they played in the
That's what
Sun
Bloom
Bowl.
said.
So I saw somebody say that they played on CBS in the Sun Bowl like back in
1978.
81 or something.
I think it was 77 or 78.
So
one
it's
of those.
maybe it's a regular season game that they haven't played on CBS.
Oh, you're
'Cause
right.
I'm-
Chris Andringa conferred. 1971 Sun Bowl they did.
Oh,
71. So it's been over 50 years.
Yeah.
So you're going to get Brad Nessler, play-by-play, Gary Danielson, color, and my friend Jenny Dell will be down there on the sideline. She's really excited to come to Iowa.
So what's this about the Sloppy Joes now?
It's not Sloppy Joe's. She wants a loose meat sandwich. She wants a made right. But here's the problem, and I didn't know this. Iowa City doesn't even have a made right. Iowa City doesn't have a place that has a great loose meat sandy because apparently they're too pretentious.
Yeah, that's right.
All those liberals over there.
Chicago Light.
Yeah, Chicago influence. They don't even have a good loose meat place to go. So I put out the call, and everybody's like, well, you're going to have to go to Marshalltown or tell her, yeah, come on, go a little
Cedar
bit
Rapids.
farther down to Muscatoon. Yeah, Cedar Rapids.
Fly into Eastern Iowa Airport. Go hit up Made Right.
She
in
probably
Cedar
will
Rapids.
fly into the Eastern Iowa Airport.
There you
I
go.
just don't think they're going to go right from the airport to the Made Right. I'm pretty sure the CBS shuttle is just going to take them right to the hotel. I could be wrong. Maybe they stay in Cedar Rapids. I don't know.
No, yeah, you got to go a little north, don't you? Yeah.
But you know what really disappointed me when I put out that call yesterday is a lot of Iowa people just shitting all over the loose meat sandwich, shitting all over Made Rights.
Iowa people or Iowa fans? Like what?
Iowa people, Iowans.
Really?
Yes. And
I think they're delicious.
I think it's those fools over in Eastern Iowa and the Iowa City area that think they're too good for the loose meat sandwich.
That would seem right.
I had a couple Made Rights when I was back a couple weeks ago. They were so greasy that it soaked through the bag. The bag was dripping with grease when I brought it inside. And it was so damn good.
Have you ever been to a Runza?
No. That's the Nebraska thing, right?
Well, there's one in Clarinda now.
Yeah, I think that's the only one in the state of Iowa. That's the only one outside of Nebraska.
Yeah,
My in-laws
they're
went
awesome.
there. I don't know. What is it? What,
It's like
what is
loose
it again?
meat inside of the. Matt, look up what a Runza is. There you
No,
go.
Matt's already got it. Look at
Loose
that thing.
meat.
It looks
and,
like a
cabbage.
hot pocket.
So what I like to do, I haven't done this in years, but I used to do this all the time, is you call ahead, and you can buy them frozen, and then you can make them at home.
See, who wants it frozen?
Well, I mean, you just bring a stash. I had a buddy across the street is a Nebraska guy, so he grew up eating these things daily. I mean, he just had diarrhea constantly. And he's like, he asked me if I could do this, and I was like, I didn't know you could do that. And I go, how many do you want? He goes, 20. So
Jesus.
I called the Runza in Clarinda. I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, well, I may as well get some for myself too, because I'm like, he's telling me how good these things are. So I asked for 30 frozen Runzas.
You were like
throw in a
Elaine
cooler.
with the Today Sponge. The number just keeps going up. Yeah, I'll take 4. You know what? Yeah, 10 will be enough. Yep, that'll be 30. I'll take 30 of them.
Yeah. And you have to decide who's Runza worthy. It's like, oh, we've been drinking in the backyard watching the race one night. We're all getting kind of hungry. I'm going to go have a Runza. You can just have a bag of potato chips. Anyways, so are you and Pate going to have anything to do with this? Is that too? Because I feel like we got to get you guys doing like HQ or something from Iowa City for this thing.
Yeah, it's still too early to say, and I don't know what the other games on the schedule are this week. Usually Pate will go to a game that's not CBS's big game because then he'll add coverage from wherever that is, and he chooses on his own. Like he chooses the game he thinks is either going to be the biggest or the best. This game's I would think, in the running, just because it's a great rivalry game. It's early. Matt, is that the schedule for that week in college football?
Yep, week 2.
Okay, so what else do we have here? Notre Dame's hosting Northern Illinois. That's not anything. Keep scrolling. I haven't seen anything good yet. Oh, God, there it is. There it is.
Texas, Michigan.
Yep. That's got to be. Now that's on Fox. That's going to be the big noon kickoff. I'm going to say it's going to be a hard time to not have Pate go there.
God, what a TV draw that game is. I mean, those two in Ohio State, man. Holy mackerel, that thing's going to pull numbers. Yeah. So 2:30 kick, CyHawk game. Didn't mention our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery. We always appreciate their
I cut you off before you
I'm in the Channel Seed studio. The Channel Seed studios can go anywhere.
I love how it can go inside, outside, Iowa, Florida, just anywhere. The Channel Seed studio comes with us.
You take a bag of seed, you can plant it anywhere. You think about
Spread
it that
seed.
Iowa, Nebraska is a night game.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like it one bit. And I don't know
Really?
these elitists that just celebrate every single night game. Like, they want every fucking game to be a night game. Give me one night game a year. That's it. Like, a night game is cool. I want it once. Because let's also keep in mind, if it's a 2:30 Central kick, that's a night game too. It's going to be dark at halftime late in the season. So that is a night game as well in the late fall.
Matt, can we speak? I did see. I know we have a bunch of Iowa State fans in the comments. You guys chime in on this. We've had so many night games over the years as in Iowa State fans, like to go and tailgate, and I think Iowa State fans are just like burn out from it.
College football is
like
not
4 or 5
it should
a
not
year.
be played at night. Like, it should be a very special thing. 1 at the most 2 a year at night. And especially this game, the Iowa-Nebraska game, the last game of the year, November 29th.
That's horrible.
I think back to some of the Iowa-Nebraska games I covered when I was in Des Moines and how cold, bone-chilling cold it was in the middle of the day. And now you're going to put this thing at night? This has the potential to be one of the all-time coldest games at Kinnick Stadium if things don't fall right. And I don't get the celebration for a night game. Is it because the fans that go, they like to have all day to just get blasted? Do they want to get blasted in the morning and be able to take a nap before they go in?
No, I think they just drink all day.
I think a 2:30 kick is perfect.
Gookin says that Iowa State had 6 night games last
Jeez.
year. Thank you for that, Alex. Yeah, it just feels like they're because of that. It's all TV. That TV block is more often than not.
Well, sure, yeah, I know it's all TV, but
the best time for a game, can we agree? Like of the traditional times is 2:30. The old school 1 o'clock kick was perfect.
yeah, and you guys, I think, are getting that at Iowa State again, at least for one game this year. That the old ESPN Plus.
The Arkansas State
Is that at 1?
Yeah,
Central?
1 o'clock. Yep. Because
Yeah,
I think that the home team, like when these ESPN Plus games, you can just pick whatever time you want. And I remember back in the day, Pollard would always pick the night game. I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago when it was like Fox College Sports or whatever,
Sure.
those, or no TV at all, right? I go back far enough.
They're not
going to
do that again with the disaster they had with that rain out. Remember
Correct.
the South Dakota?
And I think,
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. I don't think Matt Campbell likes the night games as much. I think he's the type that would prefer to play earlier.
I feel like Kirk Ferentz is the same way.
I don't know many coaches that are like, I want to sit around all day and let my guys sit around and just screw around in the hotel room.
Let's
and I
scroll
can't
around.
control 'em. Yeah, we agree. I agree with you. Too many night games. But this is all about money. We
Sure.
know that. And this is all about television. And it's hard to, like I always used to tell you old Pac-12 folks, don't bitch about your night games. They're paying your bills. And they bitched a lot, and look what happened. Well, that ain't going to happen to the Big Ten, though. So I was pretty out of the loop yesterday when all this stuff is releasing. You wanted to comment on Notre Dame's home schedule. What did you find interesting there?
Van Wink's got it up.
Ugh.
Look at the Notre Dame home schedule here. Every game.
God, at least they have Florida State.
Yes, so they've got Northern Illinois, Miami, Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Florida State, and Virginia. Those are the games in South Bend this season. Like, that is a horrific home schedule. Florida State's the only team that has any kind of pulse, basically. Louisville might be okay, but that does nothing for excitement.
Here's what's going to screw them, Chris, is when the ACC implodes.
Is it going to screw them, or is it going to finally kick them in the ass enough to join a conference?
That's what I mean. But like in their minds, they want to be independent forever, right? Like that's
and I mean, I talked to Brady Quinn about this, and he's still gung ho about wanting to be independent, and they really feel like they're still in the best possible spot they could be in. But when you look at that, you look at the schedule. Like, what does that do for fans? Maybe you don't care about that. Then you look at this new playoff and the fact that Notre Dame cannot get a bye. Notre Dame is not allowed to get one of the top 4 spots because the top 4 spots all go to conference champions. So they can never get a bye. So even if they go undefeated, they will be the number 5 seed and have to play. Now, they would get a home game, which I guess you wouldn't get if you got a bye, but you have to win more games to win a national championship. Now, I've said this to Brady Quinn and other Notre Dame fans, and they say, yeah, it's a great trade because we don't have to play a conference championship game, so it really isn't an extra game. We don't have to play that conference championship game. That game is in the playoff, and it'll be potentially at home.
Here's my point this would be my point to Brady Quinn, and I believe in 5 years the ACC will not exist in some capacity. Like I actually maybe not. It's coming. That's all I'm saying. It's coming. There's no way this league in the next round of TV contracts is a thing in its current form. Notre Dame has that scheduling agreement that exists with look at all the ACC teams on that schedule. Right, so you've got Louisville, you've got Stanford as an ACC team now. You've got Georgia Tech, Florida State, Virginia. I think they get 5 per year against ACC teams. Well, if the ACC doesn't exist, how are they filling out the rest of that schedule? Do you see where I'm going here? Like it's going to get hard for them, unless like the Big Ten will give them the same sweetheart deal. And let them play basketball.
Maybe it'll be just some kind of an alliance. Like an alliance with like they have with the ACC. They have a scheduling alliance, even though they're not part of the conference. Do they have some sort of, and then they take just a little bit of revenue from the Big Ten? I don't know. I just don't like it. And I wouldn't like it as a Notre Dame fan. Like, what the hell's going on there?
These like gnats are all over me.
Are they biting you?
I think it's this bush behind me.
Yeah, someone in the comments said you need to trim your bush. Tame that bush.
That's pretty overgrown back there.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I got like 4 gnats in my eyes at once. Being attacked back here. My apologies.
I don't even know what I was talking about.
We're talking about Notre Dame.
I think we're done with that.
Oh, I really wanted to get into this topic. This college football video game that's coming out here.
Yeah.
So we're both the same age. Were you as addicted to this thing as I was when you were a kid?
Yes.
Doing the recruiting.
I wouldn't call myself a gamer, but I always liked playing games, and this was the game that I played the most.
Because honestly,
that's why why I fell. Like, I haven't played a video game in 10 years. And I think for the most part, it's because they stopped producing this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I remember in college, we would be like midnight waiting at Walmart for them to put it out on the shelf, and then we'd all run in there, stay up all night playing it. So all of us guys at Iowa State, our high school friends in Iowa, we had like these tournaments where we'd play online together.
Yes.
It was this big deal. And you make the point in our rundown today that I found fascinating, and I think this will create some great conversation in our comment section. Can we go back to that? I mean,
because I fell off. I have not played a video game in a decade, so I don't have anything. The last thing I have is I believe a PS3, which hasn't been touched in a decade, and I only
doubt
kept
they
it.
even make this for that.
Yeah. So I would have to buy a brand new system, and Adam says he just bought a PS5 the other day just to get this game. So I would have to go buy a PS5. What does that cost? What is that? $400?
Probably.
And I would have
to get the shitty one.
Okay, so it's more expensive than that?
Got to get the memory, man.
Oh, Jesus. So I'm so out of the loop on that. I would have to not only
$499.
What?
$500.
Okay. I'd have to relearn how to play, and I'd have to change my life. I have not played a video game in a decade. This has not been part of my life since I left Des Moines. Do I even have the capacity to put this into my life schedule? And if I do, am I just going to fall off the wagon?
I'll gain like 30 pounds.
Yeah, I'll stop exercising. I won't take the dog for a walk anymore. I won't have
no more
dinner
sex with your wife. That's over.
I don't know, one, if I can go back, and two, if I should go back. And then three, if I try to go back, can you put that genie in the bottle again? Like, if it doesn't work, then what do I do? I've got this $500 PS5. I've got this $100 game, and then all the other stuff you have to buy for it. And is the game going to be too hard? Like, I hear that there's a lot of pre-snap stuff now that you just didn't have back in the day.
See, that's so.
And I'm 40. We're 40, man. Is it too? Are we too old?
No, I don't think we're too old. It's just a time factor, because when I used to play these games, I would play the games, but I was way more into like the recruiting and the dynasty stuff. So like I'd rip through a couple of seasons sometimes in 2 hours, right? I like to do that.
So I was the opposite. I did some of the recruiting when that wasn't a thing, when we were in high school. But I wanted to play the games, and I wanted to build the dynasty and make my guys better on the field and win a Heisman Trophy, and then come back the next season and build the toughest schedule in the country. But I wanted to play. I wanted to play the actual game.
Like, it's so funny because I would schedule Akron so I could get that freshman running back from Alabama that I just stole out of the SEC. So I get him some playing time, get him some run. I'm building for next year. But so I'm interested in that. Like, can I tamper? Like, can I tamper with Notre Dame's quarterback if they're having a bad season?
Yeah. What all can you?
That's what I want to know. Like,
what if Caden Proctor pulls
NIL
up,
money? Yeah.
And you spend all this money on Caden Proctor in the portal, and he's only there for a couple weeks in the spring, and then he leaves.
I want to be like,
and steals that money from you.
I want to be like the Kansas athletic director, and I'm going to fire Bill Self and cancel the basketball program and put all of that money towards football. They get all $22 million. That's the type of stuff I want to be able to do with this game. See, I had an experience with this during COVID because we all had all this time, right? And I like the simulation type stuff. And I bought this Formula One game.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like it could be a fun game.
It is. Yeah. Because I love sim racing. Like, so I always say when my girls get older, I'm going to buy like one of those cockpits, and actually do like iRacing. Like that. I'm going to do that at some point in my life. It's probably 10 years down the road, but whatever. So I bought this Formula One game, and I'm all excited because I'm going to do like the Dynasty type mode, and I'm going to make my own team, and I'm going to do this at night when the girls are
You're
in
going to
bed.
make Williams Racing the new Red Bull.
Yes, exactly. And I get in there, and it's like, okay, well, here are your drivers. What are they going to have for breakfast?
No.
Like, it's so detailed. You have to, like, decide, you know, you have 100% of your budget. You've got how much goes to catering? How much goes to outfitting your team?
That's insane.
Oh, now you got to, like, and it was just too much. I got, like, 10 minutes
If it's
into
too
it, and
much
I was
for
like,
you,
I can't even
then it
comprehend
really is too much.
I couldn't do it. I think I've played that game, like, 4 times.
Okay, so when's the last time you played a video game?
Couple years ago. I mean, I have a dirt track racing game I'll pull up every night, every once in a while when I'm bored, but it's been at least a year and a half.
Do you have an up-to-date console? Like,
I have a PS4 that I bought during COVID.
Okay, so what's your plan? Are you going to buy this game and play it?
I will buy it on PS4. I will not upgrade to get the PS5 for this.
I think if I'm you,
I will buy the game.
I'm waiting. I'm going to somebody's house that has the top of the line stuff, that has the game. See it with your own eyes, play it, and then I think you can make a decision as to whether or not you need to get it yourself.
Well, now everybody's saying it's not going to be on PS4, so no, I won't buy it then. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing as you.
Well, I won't have that luxury because I don't have friends in the neighborhood that I can just walk down to their house.
But like that time of year, I don't have 2 hours a day to sit down.
Right. That's the other thing. Are you only going to want to play it from July to January?
Yeah.
When you're the busiest.
But like my SEC Tony, who I used to play this game with he was my gamer friend that we used to play these games with constantly. He's already wanting to take the day off and me and him just play this game for 24 hours. And I'm like, God.
I don't know.
Man, we have so many people in our comments who are already buying PS5s just to get this game.
This is
I
wild.
think you guys are going to I think you're going to enjoy it, but it's like when you go back to the college town and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to go out to the bars." And none of your friends from college are there?
Can you go back?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It may be fun for like an hour, but then all of a sudden you're looking around and you're like, wow, I feel like I could be that girl's dad. That little pipsqueak over there, I coached him in Little League a few years ago. You know?
Yeah. I don't know if I can do it. It just feels like
Van Winkle is 10 years younger than us. Let's get his take.
Is he
Matt,
really? Van Winkle?
Yep.
No. Wait.
I'm 30. What?
How old are you?
I'll be 33 this year.
Okay. Almost 10 years. 7 years.
I haven't played a video game
What do you
in
mean
10
almost?
years.
So you're 32, so you're 7 years. Okay.
I'm 32 right now. I haven't played NCAA footballs in probably 10 years. In any video game, really. I think the last console I played was a Wii. Wii Tennis.
Cammy got one of them, those Nintendo Switches. Those are fun. Play the Mario Kart on there. We like to do that.
Sharpeezy says that he's just seen the ratings. Iowa overall is 85. Defense is 94. Offense is 71.
What would Iowa's offense last year have been?
Well, that seems high. Do they not go into the 60s? Is that not possible? Because last year's offense would have been in like the 30s, if you ask me.
Yeah. No, you're right. What would Deacon Hill's overall number have been, like his accuracy number?
Do they have Utah Tech in the game? Probably not.
You could create them, can't you? Like create a school.
Yeah.
You
What
could
would
create Sim
what would
Deacon Hill?
Deacon Hill's attributes be? I mean, strength would be up there. Size, arm strength. He has a pretty
99.
good arm.
He has a massive arm.
But
ball security.
Ball security. Oh my God. in the negatives.
He's just dropping back and just dropping the
How
ball
frustrating
again.
would that be to if this game is as real as it sounds like, you actually try playing with Deacon Hill, and you're just dropping back to pass and the ball falls out. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Sorry, it's Deacon Hill. Do you think you could sell merch in the game, like your own NIL merch?
You can on the F1 game.
So like the Deacon
Part of the
Hill
deal.
swim trunks. Start selling that. Start raising money for the NIL program. Are the NIL collectives in the game? Like, is Brad Heinrichs in there? And you got to go to him.
Sim Bloom.
Yeah,
sitting on a bench, drinking an Ames lager. You got to go to this guy to ask for $2,000 for this backup kicker. See, I would buy that game.
Yeah, there would be a lot of possibilities.
They just released like a gameplay deep dive, so they'll show you like what the actual game
Look at
will.
those graphics. That's insane.
No, okay, that's not what it's like. The actual.
So
So,
that's
like, this is like what you're gonna
this
see
is
when
what
you
I
play.
want to see. That looks
That's
pretty
pretty
similar to what it looked like before.
Like Madden too.
Well, you can
Yeah.
only get so. I feel like you can only get so realistic with these things, right?
Yeah.
You know what we need to do? We need to have
That
an
looks good.
Iowa Everywhere esports NCAA tournament is what we need to do.
Oh.
Look at all these people who are in. I'm not going to play in it, but all these people. Would you guys want to do that? I think that'd be a good idea. I hope Aiden's paying attention. There you go. There's your next assignment.
Aiden? Speaking of Aiden, what the hell is this guy doing? Blowing up my phone during the show.
What's he
So-
asking?
I don't know. Well, I've got here's the problem. I got this iPad at work, and now it's like, I feel old saying this. Now it's hooked into my iPhone, and so now anytime I get a text, it pops up on the screen, and I've got all these texts from Aiden in the middle of this show, just popping. They're talking about Runza and all this other BS. Clorinda. Something about Clorinda. Come on. Grow up, Aiden.
I want to thank our friends over at Game Day Men's Health. I popped into the Ankeny one earlier this week. Getting the tee shot right in the behind, baby.
Is that where they give it to you?
You get it wherever you want.
And you just say, you know what? I want
It's
it right
actually
in my ass.
Right? Like that little like fatty part of your upper rear end. You know what
So
I'm
they
saying?
just
It's like
shoot
your hip.
Testosterone right into you.
And then like when you leave, you have to do 100 push-ups and eat a steak.
God damn it. Mike O'Donnell is watching. Mike O'Donnell is a basketball analyst for CBS and ESPN. He's listening live, so he texted me. He said, I'm just texting you in the middle of the stream, so my text pops up.
Where does he live? Where does Mike live?
Oh, Mikey lives in Orlando.
Hey, Matt, pull up and see if you can find a Game Day Men's Health in Orlando. I don't know, Mike.
Mike could definitely use some testosterone.
I don't know, Mike, but I'm guessing, like many of us men our age, he probably has low T.
He definitely does.
If we could help him out.
There's guys with low T, and then there's guys with no T. And Mike O'Donnell has no T.
The Game Day Men's Health earlier this week when I hopped in there in Ankeny was hopping. I'm not kidding. There were a ton of
Did you
dudes
hear?
in there. This is awesome.
Lystico on the show yesterday on Legends and Listeners.
Yeah,
so he's been going in there.
Yep, and he goes to the West Des Moines location.
He's all juiced up. He's like, I got to get this show done. I got to go throw some weight around. I mean, I can't just sit here all day. Like, he is juiced.
I saw Doctorman. He goes to the North Liberty one. I saw Doctorman on a stream doing one-armed push-ups over there in Eastern Iowa. No, it's great. I feel really good right now. I really do. Game Day Men's Health. The local locations here in Iowa are in Ankeny, West Des Moines, and over in North Liberty.
iColt just texted me. The guy's never texted me in his life. He's texted me just so it pops up on the screen.
Jesus.
What the hell's going on here?
I can help you with that, by the way. We'll do it after the show.
Yeah, I feel like my mom. who's
All
got
right,
her text font like bigger than the size of the phone. You can't even read it.
We have a few basketball topics. Really quick, I am fired up. The Iowa State women get UConn in the non-conference game this year.
I love that. And that's that is going to be in the arena where the Connecticut Sun play.
Yes.
At the casino, the Mohegan Sun Casino.
What an opportunity.
In Connecticut.
Paige Beckers is obviously one of the biggest names in all of women's basketball, but this is I'm telling you, I think Iowa State's women's team with the transfer portal that they might be they're definitely preseason top 10. Could be preseason top 5 depending on.
How about that? What the men's and women's programs over there in Ames could be preseason top 5 in both.
So then the men's
sports.
non-con comes out yesterday, and not a lot of surprises here.
Please tell me it's better than last year's non-con.
Well, I think it is because you get, first of all, you're at the Maui Invitational, which is one of the premier.
That is the
premier.
I mean, that's
it.
Maybe some of the newer ones have surpassed it, but that's always been the one.
So then you get Marquette at home on December 4th in the Big 12 Big East battle.
Who did they play last year in that?
Remember they played DePaul on like a Friday night?
Oh, my God. Because they just didn't think. Yeah, because Iowa State wasn't expected to be a really good team last year. That's good. Marquette will be, I would think, again, a top 15 program under Shaka Smart.
And then you have to go to Iowa, and then the rest are bye games, but there's only 5 of them.
Who's in the Maui Invitational? Who could they
Maddie, pull that back
end up playing?
It's loaded. It's really freaking good.
Oh, wow. Auburn, Memphis, Michigan State, North Carolina, and UConn. Wow.
And Dayton's really good too, aren't they? I don't know how they're going to be next year, but weren't they pretty good last year?
Yeah, they were a top 25 team last year, yeah.
And then Colorado, which is weird to say another Big 12 team.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly this date was booked before the realignment and all that stuff. But so a really good non-con. I mean, you factor in you're going to play 3 of this is one of the years that Chaminade is not in the field. So they're going to have a lot of opportunities to ramp up those quad 1 wins.
Good. Well, I'm glad, and rightfully so, now that TJ knows like he's got a legit potential championship team here, you have to step up in the non-con.
Absolutely.
What is Iowa's non-conference? That's been released, right? I mean, that's got to be, I'm guessing that's going to look a lot like Iowa State's did last year, because you didn't know that Payton Sandfort was coming back.
Yeah, let's talk about that, and Maddie can try and pull it up. I mean, what a get for Iowa. Like, I think Sandfort he could be a first or second team All Big Ten, right? I mean.
Oh, yeah, I think the expectation is at least second team All Big Ten.
Yeah, I think so too.
And now Sandfort coming back, I think makes Iowa an NCAA tournament team. I mean, I think that should be the expectation. Look, we're not talking college football playoff. There's people out there that are like, NCAA tournament. NCAA tournament is not hard to make, okay? You should be expected to make the NCAA tournament every single year. This year, I think Iowa will have the pieces to be an NCAA tournament team and to be a top half of the Big Ten team. Because, you lost Freeman. That's it. It's a good piece. But that's all they lost. Patrick McCaffrey, that's not a loss. They're gaining more than they're losing.
I'd say it's an upgrade with the transfers.
Yes.
The Manhattan kid wouldn't he be in like the Patrick McCaffrey role?
Yeah, plays some defense, 6'7", 6'8". Not sure if he's going to be a starter, but I heard Chad and Scott talking about that a little bit yesterday. I think he's going to be a good piece. I think the other transfer they got, the guard, Thilwell, I believe, I think he's going to be really good. Great distributor of the ball.
Kid. Yeah.
Yeah, did I say Freeman? I meant Perkins.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Correct me on that.
That's a difference. I don't just jump all over
You
your
have,
ass.
but you should.
At the second you make a mistake.
You know what?
You were deep in the thought.
Want to be corrected. If I said
we all
Freeman,
knew what you meant.
Tony Freeman hasn't played there in a decade.
I thought.
Anyway, what Van Winks, you brought up, is that?
I only see one game on their schedule on their website right now, Utah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they're playing in that South Dakota thing.
I thought they were playing Utah State in that. That's Utah? Wait, they played Utah in the NIT.
They're playing Utah State in Kansas City. That came out yesterday.
So they're playing Utah in Sioux Falls and Utah State in Kansas City?
Yeah. Now they need to schedule Utah Tech.
Utah Tech in where? Omaha.
And it's the Deacon Hill Invitational.
Can we go back to just the overall thought on Iowa basketball this season? Because
you were about to guarantee an NCAA tournament.
Well, I tweeted that with this news that Sandfort is coming back, Iowa should expect to go to the NCAA tournament this season, and a lot of people said that's ridiculous.
Why is that ridiculous?
And I don't know if some of them were Iowa fans, some of them were Iowa State fans.
Well, like, if I'm an Iowa fan, like, why do we hang on to Fran? Because he's a developer and all this stuff, right? Well, he's getting all the guys back.
Yes. But look at the Torvik rankings, the Torvik projections. Bart Torvik, and it's a fantastic site, and a lot of the people who really cover college basketball on a day-to-day basis, they swear by this site. The rankings,
Palm better
the
watch his
projections.
ass. That's all I'm saying.
Iowa,
this guy's coming for it.
Even with Payton Sandfort, Iowa is projected 16th in the Big Ten. 16th out of 18 teams. They're only projected better than Minnesota and Penn State. I think that's crazy. This Iowa right now to me seems like a projected, like if I had to pick them in the Big Ten, I would pick them somewhere around 10 or 11. And I think that it could potentially be a top half of the Big Ten team this year. And let's also keep in mind, with these mega conferences now, all the realignment that's happening, there's 18 teams in the Big Ten. You're going to have years now where these conferences get 10 or more teams into the tournament. So you don't have to be in the top 8, top 7 to get into the tournament. If you're a top 12 team in the conference, you have a really good chance to get in the NCAA tournament if you're in the Big Ten or the SEC. The record right now is 9, I believe. I think 9 is still the record for a conference amount of teams to get into the NCAA tournament. That's going to change. It's going to be 10 plus.
Absolutely. No doubt. I think about like next year's Big 12. You're adding Arizona, you're adding Arizona State. Like
how many it'll be 14 in the Big 12 now?
Yes. Yeah, 14.
So still not as big as the Big 10, but
I
better.
can see him getting 10.
Yeah. I mean, we were thinking they had a chance this past season to get 9 or 10. Didn't happen, but
what's interesting about them too is that like it's the one big league, and the Big East doesn't count, right? Because they don't really have football.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to talk about that at some point. They can just put all $22 million in theory into their basketball. Like, what an advantage.
No, you can't do that.
Can't?
Don't you have to spread the $20 million around to the entire athletic department? And it has to follow Title IX guidelines as well?
We don't know about the Title IX yet because what they're debating is with Title IX. This is how I understand it.
Uh-huh.
You correct me if I'm wrong. But with Title IX, it's up for debate if it's opportunity or if it's the money. So, like, if you have, let's say, 80 roster spots and I'm just throwing out a number. For men, you have to have 80 roster spots, scholarships for women. But the courts have to decide, does that factor in with the payment too? Or is it just opportunity for women? So I'm just
okay.
saying,
So let's
in
set
theory,
that aside. Let's set that.
Yeah.
Let's. I guess just project that. Okay, maybe we don't have to follow Title IX for the way you spread around the money. Don't you still have to spread that money around throughout the entire athletic department? You can't just say like it's all going to football and basketball, right?
What's to stop them from saying we're not going to give it to anything else and we're just going to load up on basketball? I mean, that's all these Big East schools care about anyways. Like if you're Marquette, what are you going to do? Like, oh, we're going to give $5 million to our, lacrosse team. Like, no, I don't think they'll do that.
Well, I think that's ridiculous to think that you should have to do that because you have to be honest about what's bringing in.
I think it'll go all to men's
value.
and women's basketball for those Big East teams.
I have been reading, and maybe something changed recently, but I've been reading that there will be mechanisms in place where you have to almost spread things equally throughout the entire athletic department. Like you're going to have to pay the gymnastics team. You're going to have to pay the field hockey team. Now, not necessarily equal to what you're paying the football team, but I thought that you were going to have to pay everybody.
And that's where this kind of loses me, though. Because, like, the lacrosse player is getting a great deal by having a scholarship and room and board.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The gymnast is getting a great deal, and if Livy Dunn can go out and make millions of dollars through her Instagram feed, through her name, image, and likeness, then great. She should be able to do that. But, like the economics don't really add up for the lacrosse team to be getting, oh, we'll spread $1 million around.
Yeah.
Keep it fair. That doesn't.
And as Adam points
maybe
out,
you give
that's
them
when,
a little
if that's
bit
the
for
case, that's where schools are going to start to cut sports like gymnastics and field hockey.
And great point, Adam, but there is currently a limit. I think you have to have like 15 varsity sports to be a D1 NCAA. And I'm wondering if that's going to get relaxed or anything. The point I was making is that the Big 12, right or wrong, and the Baylor athletic director has been very vocal about this, that the league needs to put more emphasis on football. But the Big 12 has been it's so the Big 10 and the SEC, it just feels like for the most part are, there's not as much investment into basketball. In the Big 12, it's like you look up and down and it's just, and now you had Arizona. Is Arizona a blue blood? Probably not, but they're knocking on the door.
By the way, this is how crazy this is. We cover this on a daily basis. We don't even know how many teams are in the Big 12 next year. We thought 14. It's 16, according to Paul and Travis.
But it's so fucking confusing.
Teams coming in, teams going out. Oh, my God.
It's like I always tell my NASCAR friends. It's like if I have to sit there and I have an hour conversation, if a guy like me who watches every race still doesn't understand how the fucking playoffs work for your sport, you got a problem.
Jeez, no kidding.
I have no idea. So you lost Texas and Oklahoma. You were at 14 last year. Now you had 4. Okay, 16.
I bet there's people that have already forgotten that UCF is in the Big 12.
But, think about I think Ohio State, off the top of my head, has the biggest athletic department in the country as far as, number of teams. Mm-hmm. They're at a disadvantage now because they still got to fund all of those things. And they still only have $22 million.
And Jamie Pollard has said that, when this all comes through, he's going to have to cut programs. He's going to have to cut players on the football team. Why are we going to have 100-plus players on the football team? We don't need that many. I'm going to have to cut it down into the 50s like the NFL.
I've been saying that a while. But the problem is it needs to be uniform across the the NFL, but you can't do that without collective bargaining because then it's collusion.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing is, but if you're Iowa State, you can't have 55 players on your roster if TCU's playing with 85. You're going to get your ass kicked. You just can't do that.
True.
Right? And like, oh, okay, all these Big Ten and SEC, like Brad Heinrichs told me, he thought that they wanted to go up in roster sizes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say they have 95.
Well, you know that coaches are going to want that. Coaches are going to want it to go up. Absolutely.
How in the hell did we get here?
Oh,
like this whole thing, like this settlement, and like I'm glad that these players are going to get some money, and like, but like it if you just read it, it's insane.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knows what the hell they're doing right now. And you nailed it, and I should have listened to you and your CBS guys from the beginning, because it ain't going to stop at $22 million.
Yeah, and it's not going to stop from the NIL collective still needing money from the fans to pay the top players even
Why
more.
doesn't Phil Knight just say, like, hey, I'm going to buy the top 20 players on Oregon football and basketball every year. Keep them out of the thing. I'll pay for their scholarships. They're going to be Nike ambassadors. T. Boone Pickens can do it with his oil company back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, this whole thing. Real quick, last thing I wanted to make sure we hit on this. Caitlin Clark got in like a fight last night.
Nah, not really a fight. But
everybody was yipping about this. I didn't see it. I haven't seen it.
I was watching it live. She hit
Yeah,
a deep
go
three.
get her, Kate.
She hit a deep three, and the defender, I can't remember her name. Her and the defender got in a little jawing match afterwards. They were both teed up. There was no pushing, no shoving, just some jawing. At that point, the Fever were in the game. They got their ass kicked again. They are bad. Leah Boston pulled her back a little bit. I think the coach even got a technical later
the
on
one that everybody
in the game.
wants
Yeah,
fired?
everybody's firing. Yeah. That might have been their worst game. Like, I know they're missing some players now, but this game opened up. The Fever were favored. Okay, by tip off, Seattle was favored by 4.5. Seattle was up 20 plus the whole fourth quarter, and this was at home. Ugh.
Hey, they'll get the number 1 pick again. Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston. Let's go.
That would be fun to watch.
I thought
Aaliyah Boston would be better. I fully admit, before this season, I wasn't watching the WNBA. All I knew was how great she was in college and that she was the rookie of the year. I thought she would be more of a factor.
I'm telling you, the Fever need to tank. They need.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
They need to tank. They need to not try and win. If you get Beckers and Clark in the same backcourt,
oh man,
think of the merch. This is a business.
From what I've seen, they're just a horrible defensive team. And I see it time and time again with Caitlin's passes. There was a perfect example of this. I think it was the second quarter, where she throws one of those lob passes in transition over the top, and her teammate I think it was Katie Lou Samuelson, just right through her hands. This is a play that every single time in college, someone was making that catch and laying it in transition. And it's just not happening at all in the WNBA. Even when she makes a perfect pass, they're not bringing that in. Not only are they not making the basket, they're not catching the ball, and it turns into a turnover. So what everybody's doing now is double teaming Caitlin Clark. Anytime someone comes to set a screen for Caitlin, that screener's defender is also taking Caitlin. So they're double teaming her. She has to get rid of it immediately. They're getting open shots. They're not making them. There's just not enough around her right now.
Well, we didn't get to we got high socks.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff we didn't get to. That's okay.
We got a lot of stuff for Monday's
good.
show.
Yeah.
Cheers to the freaking weekend with our friends from Steeple Ridge Bourbon. What do you got on tap?
What do I have?
What are you doing?
Well, nothing, which is great. I love having nothing on tap. Next weekend, I'm going to have my nieces here for the first time. They're coming from Corning.
Really?
Coming here. Yeah. My nieces, along with my mother-in-law, are staying here.
That's tough. They're going to miss Saturday night at the Adams County Speedway.
You know what? There were races the night we were there. We were there on a Saturday night a couple of weeks ago, and I saw some of those cars. I don't know, what do you call them, late models or something? What do you call them over there?
Not the late models aren't there anymore.
What are they? They look like a
stock cars.
Stock car. Yeah, it was a stock car. And people were getting them ready, and I'm telling you, man, we drove to the hotel, and the hotel is probably 2 miles away from the racetrack. We get out of the car.
That vineyard out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never heard noises like that. Like, if I didn't know there was a dirt track in town, I would think the aliens had come. Is that noise? I mean, you talk about
it's
noise
the greatest
pollution.
sound in the world.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
But, yeah, there's a vineyard right next to it. Is that, like, can you go in there and, like, get a glass of wine? Just walk in there and get a glass of wine?
I've never been, but sure, I think so.
What kind of grapes are they doing down there in Corning?
Blue-collar ones.
Blue-collar grapes? Oh, Nick's asking if my dad's fully recovered. My dad had a setback this week. He ended up back in the hospital this week.
What?
Yeah.
What
but
happened?
not for his back. Not for his back. It sounds to me like, so they were giving him OxyContin, right, for the pain, which is what you do. And he was actually not taking anywhere near the dose amount that was prescribed. He was told, and it said it on the bottle, every 4 hours you can take this thing. Well, he was trying his best and did a really good job to not do that. He's really good at not taking it just because you can. So he's going 8 hours, 12 hours. But he was still on it for a couple of weeks. He stopped taking it because he didn't need it for the pain anymore. All of a sudden, he got extremely sick, was just vomiting, couldn't keep anything down for days. Finally, they took him in. He's dehydrated. And they think that maybe it was withdrawal coming off the OxyContin.
Wow.
So he was in the hospital. They were pumping him full of liquids for, I think he stayed there 2 days.
So he's okay now?
Back home, he says he's feeling much better. 70%, he said. He's back. He's 70%. His back's doing great.
We need to get him.
He's driving again.
Testosterone.
You think he needs some tea?
Can't hurt.
By the way, he still has the flowers you sent him.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of them the other day. He was sitting there watching TV, and he literally just sent me a picture of the flowers. It was very nice.
They're still going strong.
Hey, by the way, I got to point something out.
Yeah, go ahead, Matty.
Over Hassel's left shoulder, there's an old football game program that says Iowa Ames.
Iowa Ames.
This is the little subtle jab there.
No, it's not a subtle jab. This is an official program.
Did Don give you that for Christmas?
So that's why he did, actually, I think. It was like a calendar. It came in like a calendar with all these old there's one, if I move the camera.
It should say Iowa, the Ames.
Here, let me see here. So look at this one up here. That's
Indiana.
Iowa, Indiana, and it's like a guy in front of a radio, and his kid is playing next to him.
Yeah, that's cool.
I can't move it any closer. But
Man, old football programs were awesome.
So when my uncle died, I went through all of his stuff, and he had all these old like Athlon magazines from like the early 90s. And I still have them on. And some night have you ever flipped through one of them and you read about like Desmond Howard and the old athlete?
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool to go back and, God, those preseason magazines used to be so good. Remember we just wait all year for those things to come out?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
those
old
were
days.
great. I used to love, I was a baseball card collector, football, basketball, and the Beckett's. Remember the Beckett's?
Oh,
You look up what the cards were worth. They were worth a lot more when we got them than they are now. That industry, because of people like us, everybody our age was buying them all. They're not worth what they were back in the day.
Well, this was good. Appreciate you guys. My weekend is I'm coaching mini turtles tonight with Maddie.
Oh, really?
Big Turtles tomorrow at 10. Big Turtles are off to a 1-6 start, guys. It's not
But you
looking
got
good.
sweet hats, though. I saw
We
the
have
hats
sweet
that
hats.
the Downs got you.
The bats are finally rolling. We're finally hitting the ball, but now we've lost our minds and can't remember how to field. So it's like, I don't know. This coach is – I'm like the fever coach.
You're basically Coach Sides.
People are calling for Lisa Bluter to come and take over this team.
All right. Well, good luck. I hope
frankly
you
can't
guys
blame them.
I hope you guys put it all together.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. For Maddie Van Winkle, for Chris Hassel, I'm Chris Williams. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back normal time on Monday morning. 2 Guys on Iowa Everywhere.